Ancient Egypt left behind innumerable treasures, but an early 20th century dig in Antinopolis unearthed something absolutely remarkable. 1,700-year-old socks were uncovered in a garbage bin, and experts are revealing their colorful mysteries. Hello viewers, welcome to our channel. In this video, we will talk about a 1,700-year-old discovery. But before we start, make sure to subscribe to our channel and press the bell icon for regular updates. Let's get started. Ancient Egyptian civilization began circa 3100 BC and lasted until 646 BC. According to accepted chronology, the Egyptians maximized their resources to increase their population and lifestyle. The Egyptians also innovated when it came to clothing, but they still relied on materials and resources. In agriculturally focused areas, pastoral nomads typically wore clothes made from animal skins, though the Egyptians wore linen. After growing flax, the Egyptians would soak it until it became malleable enough to split into fiber. They spun those strands into thread, which they could then use to weave and create men's and women outfits with the resulting textiles in their own unique way in ancient Egypt. The Mendan skirts were wrapped around their waists and held in place. Jewelry-covered headdresses and fabric ornaments covered their skirts. Similarly, women wore long dresses, adorning the floor-skimming garments with one or two straps. Eventually, they became more creative with their clothes, draping or pleating fabric to create more ornate garments, and like their male counterparts, wealthy women spruced things up with accessories. Perhaps most surprising of all, the ancient Egyptians even whipped up their own makeup. Both men and women accentuated their eyes with black kohl liners, and powdered minerals transformed their eyelids with green and blue tints. On top of that, they relied on henna for staining their lips and nails, in spite of their obvious love for accessories and makeup. The ancient Egyptians usually went barefoot, although they wore sandals if they had a big event or an activity that could injure their feet. Sometimes they made fashion faux pas. Yes, socks with sandals today. Between the 3rd and 6th centuries AD, Egyptians began wearing knitted wool socks with a division between the first 2 and last 3 toes for sandals. The ancient Romans also wore dawn socks, especially when they traveled far from their warm, humid Mediterranean home base. But it would be an ancient Egyptian sock that would stir historians more than 100 years after its initial discovery. John Damon and Johnson, a papyrologist, were responsible for unearthing it. Between 1913 and 1914, Demondens Johnson led an excavation of Antinopolis, studying Egyptian papyrus documents ranging from literature to legal transactions. The Greek Emperor Hadrian founded the city in AD 130 to commemorate a friend named Antinos who had drowned in the Nile River centuries later. Johnson hoped to find any remaining papyrus there, and the papyrologist's excavation gave him exactly what he sought. Johnson found enough papyri to publish a 3-part Antinopolis papyrus in the 1950s and 1960s, but he also found many other intriguing artifacts. Along with the papyri, Johnson found textiles, lamps, coins, shoes, and even a wooden clapper. He and other experts didn't seem interested in these items at the time. But by 2018, new research showed how interesting textiles, specifically a sock from ancient Egypt, could be. The sock eventually ended up at the British Museum in London as part of the anti-nuptials collection. Thus, using multispectral imaging, scientists discovered the dyes used to color the multi-hued sock. Perhaps unsurprisingly, the ancient Egyptians used all natural plant-based dyes to color their wool and garments. Finally, they used the weld plant to make yellow pigment, a practice they shared with the Romans, who often made sunshine-colored wedding clothes with weld. On top of that, multispectral imaging allowed the British Museum scientists to see how the Egyptians had dipped fibers into dye to create different colors, and how intricate weaving techniques allowed the ancient civilization to create such a rainbow effect, despite the trio of dyes they used. Dr. Joanne Dyer developed the unique method of analysis. While working in the British Museum's Department of Scientific Research, she told The Guardian that it was fascinating to discover that the child's socks' varied colored stripes were generated using just 3 natural dyes. Dyer and the team published their findings in Close One, describing the garment's unique shading and weaving. She said that the Egyptians had spun many monochromatic fibers together to form a single hue and dipped a single strand into multiple dyes until they got the desired color. The British Museum could explain the sock's purpose and knitting process. This sock was for the left foot of a child with separation between the big toe and 4 other toes it revealed, which meant it likely conformed to sock and sandal wearing too. The British Museum team described this method as allowing them to sew each toe individually, thus creating enough separation between digits to fit a sandal. The knitter made all the toes from dark green yarn, then joined and worked orange 4 bands, rose, purple, 4 rows, blue-green, 4 dark red, 6 green, 6 rows. The scientists characterized the heel's multicolored pattern, which included tones of dark blue and yellow. Of course, the research didn't simply inform the world more about the garment. Dr. Dyer's imaging process left the sock intact and was cheaper and less laborious than scientists' previous methods for analyzing ancient fabrics. The British Museum scientists could examine its materials and construction method, but they could also theorize its origins. It turned out that the 1,300-year-old sock was made during a period in Egyptian history that could explain its ingenuity. Long before the sock, the ancient Egyptians had their own religion and worshipped multiple deities. Though Egypt faced a period of continual upheaval as several empires invaded and occupied their land and brought diverse religions with them, Egypt had earlier been part of the Byzantine Empire, which promoted Christianity. Dyer told The Guardian, "The garment represented the city's residents' resources during yet another fight for Egyptian territory. There is the Arab conquest of Egypt, and the Romans leave Egypt. These events affect the economy, trade, and access to materials, which all reflect in the technical makeup of what people were wearing and how they were making these objects. So the socks with their colorful sections created from just 3 different dyes were a remnant." The British Museum's multispectral imaging breakthrough will encourage research into other ancient artifacts' construction to uncover similar realities about other historical things. Dyer claimed we could see more and more items. Since the British Museum team employed multispectral imaging on the sock, we can see more things and historical periods. At Rochester University, scholars have done the same with their antique items. In March 2019, Professor Gregory Hayworth and his student discovered a possible hidden Torah text. They believed the Torah they examined was from around 1900, far newer than the ancient Egyptian sock. However, the scroll had a compelling backstory. After the Nazis invaded Moravia and Bohemia in 1939, the Jewish populations there had to hand over their religious books and objects. Their Torah could have come from a lost congregation, which Hayworth and his students can only find by deciphering the hidden clues, and that's where multispectral imaging came in, although Hayworth told the university's news center that the work was exacting. That's it for today. We hope you guys enjoyed the video. What do you think about this discovery? Tell us in comment section. Please like and share our videos. Don't forget to subscribe our channel and press the bell icon for regular updates.